Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back nigga fighting bitch boy. You know what time it is. It's full time. So the guy that reported Wonderboy versus Till was pretty much set, worked for the LA Times, right? And we were all excited. If you go and look at the comments, yes, this is the fight. This is the fight to make. I'm so stacked. Oh shit, if that's in Liverpool, I'm going. I can't wait for this fight. Everybody and their fucking mother loves Wonderboy versus Darren Till. But not everybody's father. Wonderboy's father specifically. Now, I completely understand where he's coming from because I wouldn't want to see my son fight Darren Till either. I wouldn't want my son to have to fucking go in there and face the future of the welterweight division. No, sir, Bob. Especially a guy as confident as Darren Till that's willing to walk into your style, willing to walk you down, because how else would Darren Till fight Wonderboy? He's coming in there. Wonderboy's a counter striker. A lot of people can't figure that out, so they get scared. They're not confident facing Wonderboy. They allow him to get on his bike, as Jorge Masvidal says, and sometimes it's not a very entertaining fight because people are left trying to figure out how to break Wonderboy's defense. How am I going to get in there? I can't, he's pretty fast. He's got that karate style. I mean, the only real way to beat Wonderboy is to probably like out wrestle him. But if you can't get the takedowns, as in the who was it that was just Rory McDonald fight, it's not a very entertaining fight because you dive at his you can dive at his ankles. You go for your ankle picks. No, I'm just playing. You can dive at his ankles, but if you don't get the takedown, how are you gonna win the fight versus Wonderboy? You're not gonna outstrike him. He's gonna clip you up when you come in, and if you're a wrestler, he's got to stay at distance so you don't take him down. As we kind of seen in the Tyron Woodley fight, a lot of people give Wonderboy and Tyron slack for that second fight specifically because that's what happens when you're fighting somebody like Wonderboy or Holly Holm. You know what I'm saying? With that counter striking style, it's not always the most entertaining fight. Well, leave all that shit a fucking side. Who gives a fuck about the entertainment value right here? Well, actually, that does kind of matter because if you have the right style, it can be an entertaining fight. If you give Wonderboy somebody like a Robbie Lawler or a Darren Till or a, I don't know, fucking Carlos Condit, somebody that's really going to try and strike with Wonderboy, it can be entertaining. Depending on the style matchups. Now, if you give him someone like Tyron Woodley, who's gonna, or even give him a Jorge Masvidal, that was fun, Jorge Masvidal wasn't just waiting on his overhand right and trying to fight smart and fight to not lose. He wasn't fighting as a champion who's trying to not lose his belt. He had to fight as a guy that's putting on a show. He knows he had to go in there and get the win versus Wonderboy. So when you've got a guy willing to strike with Wonderboy, you can have an entertaining fight. Wonderboy is badass. You know what I'm saying? He is a dope at what he does. But does that make every one of his fights entertaining? No. Now, let's put the entertainment value to the side for a second. I actually had to do some fucking research on this video because it kind of pissed me off. I mean, I, like a lot of you guys, was so fucking ecstatic to see this fight. Wonderboy versus Till makes perfect sense. Well, here comes fucking Wonderboy's coach or Wonderboy's dad, same thing, and he's not wanting to see the fight. He's the only person that I've fucking seen that doesn't want to see this fight. And he's using the typical, oh, you got to fight more guys before you fight me, you got to get through the murderer's row that we got through before you get to fight us. And it's like, yeah, it's always weird when people use that fucking excuse. I understand what you're saying if you had to, I understand what people are saying, but it just always comes off kind of weird. And then this situation especially. Now, I'm gonna nitpick here, and you can say what the fuck ever you want. I don't give a fuck. This is just my video, my opinion. Don't take it for anything. I don't give a fuck. But I'm gonna fucking nitpick on this case, and I mean, it is what it is. Now, this is what Wonderboy's dad had to say. I'm gonna read this before I fucking nitpick it. Because, man, I wanted to see this fucking fight. It looked like it was happening, and here comes fucking Wonderboy's dad stealing it from me. And as I said, I wouldn't want my son to fucking fight until either. So that's where I think this is coming from, but I could be wrong. But this is what he said. He said, "We've talked to no one about fighting Darren Till. Not sure how this is a done deal. As for Till, he needs to fight through the murderer's row at welterweight like Wonderboy did to get to the top." And I'm going to nitpick that murderer's row he's speaking about. But he said, "We want to fight forward. We've been calling out Robbie Lawler since before the first Woodley fight, and we've gotten crickets on it. Why? Why hasn't anyone talked to about it? No one from the UFC, no one from Lawler's camp, no one. Wonderboy has had one of the most fantastic, exciting fights when he fought Tyron Woodley at UFC 205. The fight stole the show. The second fight was a snooze fest, mostly because Wonderboy chased Woodley around the octagon for 5 rounds. We take part of the blame since we didn't pull the trigger often enough. Since then, we feel we are being involved. We are being moved out of title contention. Saying that's the case, but it sure looks that way. What happened to the rankings?" Alright, dude, I gotta stop for a second and fucking nitpick because, I'm fucking upset that this fucking fight might not happen. Oh, man, alright, now let's fucking get to nitpicking. I mean, you guys hear my frustration. It's really fucking kind of hard to focus because I don't want to go too far, but I am going to fucking nitpick a little bit here, and I did the research to be able to. So he said, as for Darren Till, he needs to fight through the fucking murderer's row at welterweight like Wonderboy. He went on to name these fighters. He said, that being said, Till needs to fight his way up like Wonderboy did when he takes out the Jake Ellenbergers, the Johnny Hendricks, the Robert Whitakers, the Rory McDonalds, and so on. We can talk about fighting. Alright, bud. Well, this is completely with all due respect. You know, this is completely respectful, but now let's nitpick. He said Jake Ellenberger. Jake Ellenberger is 2-7 in his last 9 fights, and he was 1-3 when he fought Wonderboy. I did the research. Johnny Hendricks. Yes, you did fight former welterweight champion Johnny Hendricks, but Mr. Wonderboy's dad, Wonderboy was the first person to fight Johnny Hendricks post USADA. And hey, I even got fucking dates. I did the research. USADA was put into place July 1st, 2015. Wonderboy fought Johnny Hendricks February 2016. So he gave him about 6 solid months to be able to fucking get Johnny Hendricks good and tested and clean. Let him see USADA's fucking here to do what they say to do. And it's like, alright, now let's fight. Go ahead and fight Johnny Hendricks. Now this is all speculation. But Wonderboy, it is a fact that Wonderboy was the first guy to fight Johnny Hendricks post USADA, and we've seen how Johnny Hendricks has looked post USADA. I don't know what the fuck that means. I know George St. Pierre has alluded to the fact like Johnny Hendricks looked different post USADA. I know a lot of you guys believe Johnny Hendricks looked different post USADA, but I wasn't a super hardcore fan back when Johnny Hendricks was post USADA. So I'm just going off what people like the fucking GOAT George St. Pierre have said. So you were the first, Wonderboy was the first guy to fight Johnny Hendricks post USADA, so that's part of the murderer's row. So we've got 2-9 Jake Ellenberger, post USADA Johnny Hendricks, Robert Whitaker he named. Robert Whitaker he fought before USADA, which has nothing to do with that because neither one of these guys have ever been accused of steroids. But Robert Whitaker was 23 years old when he fought Wonderboy. Robert Whitaker was also at welterweight. Who is Robert Whitaker? Now the middleweight interim champion. He's now on like a 9 or 8 fight winning streak at middleweight. He's tearing it up at middleweight. So you fought an out of prime Robert Whitaker who was 23 years old. And now I'm nitpicking. I told you, an out of prime Robert Whitaker that was 23 years old. Johnny Hendricks post USADA, Jake Ellenberger who was 1-3 at the time and 2-9 since then. Well, not since then, but he's 2-9 in his last 2-7 in his last 9 fights, and the last guy that you named was Rory McDonald. Now, yes, Rory McDonald is a good win. And congratulations, Rory McDonald is a beast. Rory McDonald is now in Bellator, whatever that means. But when Wonderboy fought Rory McDonald, it wasn't the most exciting fight. Now, did I personally watch that fight? I probably did, but can I remember it? No. Why? Because it was lackluster. A lot of people have alluded to that fact. They said Rory McDonald was diving for Stephen Thompson's feet in the fight, trying to get the takedown, and Stephen Thompson was, you know, just trying to pick him apart, and it wasn't an entertaining fight. Stephen Thompson was doing his thing. Rory McDonald couldn't figure it out. And whenever Stephen Thompson fought Rory McDonald, let's see if that was before or after Robbie Lawler. I really hope it was before because, I mean, you can say Rory McDonald after Robbie Lawler was arguably a different fighter. So let's see. Oh, yep. Unfortunately, if I'm nitpicking, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fought Rory McDonald after Robbie Lawler. Now, also, let's continue the nitpick for why I completely think this is bullshit, turning down the fucking Darren Till fight. For one, Darren Till's got a wave you can ride. For two, you're not fighting for the belt anytime soon. For three, why are you only fucking calling out Robbie Lawler? This is another guy, Robbie Lawler. A lot of people are calling out Robbie Lawler like fucking smell blood, you know, like the sharks in the water, and they feel like they can knock him off. A lot of people want to fight Robbie Lawler right now. It's like, where's the fucking respect? A lot of people, so it's like people are trying to cherry pick Robbie Lawler low key. So you say you're only trying to fight up. Well, then why did you just fight Jorge Masvidal? I mean, you're pretty high in the ranking. It's hard to fight up. If you're only trying to fight up, I mean, you just fought the champion twice, Tyron Woodley, so even if you beat Robbie Lawler, what's next? How far can you fight up as long as Tyron Woodley's the champion? So, like, goddamn. You talk about this murderer's row. I mean, I can nitpick some more. I can go to Darren Till's record and show you how these guys weren't just fucking pushovers. They all had good records. They're all in the UFC. And what about fucking Cowboy Cerrone? Is that not part of a murderer's row? I mean... So, to me, this is just a dad trying to save his son from the future of MMA. This is all my opinion, as I said. But, it is what it is. Let me know what the fuck you think about Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's coach, which turns out to be his father, not wanting any smoke with Darren Till, man. It is what it is. Let the full-time family know what the fuck you tap at in the comments. I'm out.
Bye, Felicia.